Welcome to FaithAware. Many things in life are transactional. If you do this for me, I'll do that for you. But there is another kind of relationship called covenant. What's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. God invites us into covenant with Him. Throughout history, God made many kinds of covenants with people and with kingdoms. A covenant is an invitation to oneness. Covenants have conditions and obligations, but they are based in the relationship, not based on transaction. It's less like a market square and more like a wedding. The choices we make every day show the value we place on the relationship. When we enter into a covenant relationship with God, we become citizens of His new kingdom. The Bible, God's book, tells us what we need to know about relating to God, His character, His history with humanity, the culture of His kingdom, and His long-range plan for creation. Who is God? God is the creator of the material universe, including the world and all its people. He is comprised of three individuals who are one identity, co-equal and co-eternal. God is everywhere present, seeing all and knowing all. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. The Father is the eternal King, the supreme wise being. The Son is His word of intelligent power, who came in human form to live among us, Jesus Christ, the living painting of God's heart, the gateway back to the Father. The Holy Spirit is the powerful essence of God, who comes to live inside us when we accept the covenant. He helps us to gradually transform by planting in us the seeds of God's nature: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faith, gentleness, and self-control. He befriends us and advises us as these seeds slowly grow. What are the terms of the covenant? Just as a marriage has expectations of faithfulness and loyalty, so does our covenant with God. In order to outline the terms, we need to know the story of Jesus Christ. The story. The first people ever made, Adam and Eve, had a covenant with God in a beautiful garden, Eden. The condition for their covenant was that they could eat every fruit in their garden except for one, because it would bring death. But they did eat that fruit, and this sin brought death and corruption into the world. Centuries went by. God made a covenant with the nation of Israel. This covenant described what God wanted from them, obedience to His law, and also what He would give them in return. This covenant sounds more like a transaction because God was putting it in terms they could relate to. But it was still based in God's desire to share His heart and His nature with humanity, and to nurture and protect them, to be close to them and one with them. God knew that humanity would be unable to keep the law. The law itself was intended to show that perfection was out of reach. Just as Adam's sin brought death and corruption to us all, a new representative was needed to reboot the system and bring back life and wholeness in our relationship with God. Since there was no human able or qualified to do this, God Himself became a human in order to do it for us. This human was Jesus Christ. Jesus was born in Roman-occupied Israel around 4 BC and lived a perfect life. He spent his time with 12 disciples, teaching people about God and His kingdom culture. He healed the sick and raised the dead, proving that He was offering something greater than the transaction of obedience for health. He cast out evil spirits, proving that His power came from God. He amended many false beliefs and assumptions, and challenged those who used them cruelly. He taught that the most important parts of the law were to love God with all we are, and to love others as we love ourselves. Finally, Jesus, who had no sin, was unjustly executed by crucifixion. Jesus could have used God's power to escape this death, but it was part of the plan. In order to fully represent us, he would have to take on our debt of sin and die for it. Jesus died and was buried. But because he had no personal moral debt, and because the power of God rested on him, after 3 days, he came back to life. This proved beyond all doubt that he was the master of life who came from God. The terms. In order to cross from death-bound to life-bound, to be in covenant with God, this is the way. To confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord. To believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead. Faith unlocks grace, the undeserved favor of God which declares you forgiven and clean from sin. The Holy Spirit comes to live within you to help you understand God and live his way. This is not a transaction. This is the free benefit of the covenant of oneness. He has fulfilled all the other terms of perfect obedience himself. This is the way God justifies us, making our righteousness equal to Jesus's. When you are in oneness with the supreme God, because you believe what he says, all your allegiance is toward him and his kingdom. The Holy Spirit helps us to say no to the impulse to sin. He grows the divine flavor of God within us as we mature and dig deeper into God. What does God get out of it? God gets to have family oneness with you, his child, which is what he always wanted. He gets to show you his heart, which is the source of all beauty and life and wisdom. His nature, love, finds joyful expression. He gets praise for what he has done for us, which is a benefit to us as well as to him, for it lifts our vision. And he gets advertisement from us, so that more and more people can also come into his light. He is glorified by our transformation within the partnership, and by our adoration of him when we truly grasp who he is. What do you get out of it? Your sin, shame, guilt, and debt are cancelled forever. You now have the chance to live without those things, like a former addict now completely clean. God himself will help you. You get to live forever in heaven with God. You get access to the incredible mind and heart of love, which created everything from atoms to galaxies. You get to be seated at the center of this love and experience eternal abundant life there, even after your time on earth ends. This is the meaning of life, to glorify God and enjoy him forever. You get the comfort of the Holy Spirit as your constant companion, listening friend, and advisor. You get to transform into all that you were created to be. You get levels of understanding unlocked as you read the Bible regularly. This partnership with the Holy Spirit will guide you into your purpose and inform your daily life. You get welcomed into a vast and variegated family, the equal fellowship of the church, God's kingdom citizens worldwide. This family has many small gatherings, churches, and other groups. You get to escape punishment and death. You get to be on the winning team of history, for this kingdom will expand to fill the world. Someday, Jesus Christ will return in power and lead us in victory as his identity and kingdom are finally revealed for all to see. Interested?